Hey guys, welcome back to the course. In the world of programming, one of the most common things we often have to do is interact with external files. This may be required for a variety of reasons, like storing configurations for future use or reading configuration files for further data processing. The good news is that Python has built-in functionalities to perform multiple operations on files. We can use it to read the contents of external files, or write into them, or add information to their already existing content. In a nutshell, learning how to work with files is an integral part of any automation workflow, and therefore it is extremely important to have a solid understanding of it. As always, let's go through all of that with a practical example. Here we are starting off with the read operation. We can do that two ways. In the first way, we are using Python's inbuilt function called open and passing the file name and what types of operation we want to run as arguments. The file name here is demo.txt and this R refers to the read operation. Let's look at the contents of this text file. It's a simple text file with just one sentence in it. Now we print the contents of that file followed by a graceful closure of the file. Let's run this and see what we get. As you can see, it successfully printed the contents of the file on the console. The second way to use the Python's open function is through the with keyword. This with keyword enables automatic closure of the file at the end of the read-write operation. We don't need to explicitly close the file like we did earlier. This is particularly useful when we are working with files all the time and might forget to explicitly close it at the end of the operation. Apart from this, there is no other advantage of using the with keyword. Let's run it and see what we get. As you can see, this one also successfully printed the contents of the file on the console. Now let's try writing something to the file. Here we again pass the name of the file and the mode of the operation, which is now W, to indicate the write operation as arguments. We then call the write method and pass the new text as an argument. This will override the contents of the file if the file already exists. If it does not exist, then it will create a new file with this content. Now if we run it, then it should replace the old statement that we saw earlier with this new text. Let's run it and see if this new text is added to the file or not. As you can see, it successfully overrode the contents of the file with the new text. But what if we don't want to overwrite the contents and instead add new text to the existing data? For that, we can use the append method. This time, we are passing a to indicate append operation and we are appending this text to the end of the existing content of the file. Let's run this and see how it goes. As you can see, the file now has this new information added to its already existing content. One more interesting function that I think you should know about is called readlines. We can use it to read the contents of the file line by line and take action on that individually. What it basically does is that it reads the file line by line and create a Python list by adding each line as a list element. For example, here we are using a file called ip.txt. Let's look at this file. It simply has a list of IP addresses. Now that readline function is going to read those IP addresses line by line and put them in a list. Let's run it and see how it goes. As you can see, the list now has those IP addresses as its elements. The first IP is element 0, the second IP is element 1, and so on. I understand that all of this may seem overwhelming to some of you right now, but as you progress in your journey of network automation, I promise you that you will encounter such scenarios quite often where you have to do a lot of data manipulation. And therefore, understanding how the data can be transferred from one type to another is going to be a key skill. So with that, I thank you for joining me this journey, and I hope you find the rest of the course useful as well.